Hello, hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, so quickly let's start the today's session. So let me share my screen. Let me repeat see my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as we mentioned yesterday, we started the topic of the special procurement, and we also understood what are the different types of special procurement we have in SAP. So one in part yesterday we covered the stock transfer order. So today we'll be covering the topic of the subcontracting. So subcontracting is also a part of special procurement process and within material management module. So first let's understand what is this subcontracting process, right? So usually what we do in normal procurement, we create a PR, we create a purchase requisition, then we convert that to PO, then we send this to vendor, we receive the order confirmation, then we receive the goods and we do GR, then we post the IR, and then we do the payment. So this is the normal procurement cycle, right? Now, coming to this subcontracting process, we usually provide the material to vendor. So here in the normal procurement cycle, supplier is going to provide the material to us, but in subcontracting process, we are going to provide the material to the vendor. It means we are not providing the finished material, we are providing the raw material to the vendor, and subcontracting vendor will just convert that raw material into a finished product or a new product and give it back to us. So in this case, it's also known as subcontracting vendor. We don't call them as just vendor. We call them as subcontracting vendor. Okay. And he's not going to charge for the complete product, what he's delivering. He's going to charge for the product for what he is going to work. For example, if he's converting the raw material to finished material, then what is the labor charge for it? What is the work charge of it? If you're doing any maintenance, for example, you're calling a service technician to service your vehicle. So he's not going to charge for the vehicle. He's going to charge for your service. So in the same case, here in subcontracting process, you are giving the raw material to the vendor. If for example, if I take a construction-based industry, assume that you're calling and batching plant and you are giving sand, you are giving cement, or everything is given by you, and he will just mix all the things and give you concrete. So he's not going to charge for the complete concrete. So buying a concrete is different and making a concrete with your raw material is different. So the amount what he is charging is just for the labor charge what he is doing. Okay. So let me take two examples. One is a real-time example and one is an SAP example. For example, assume that let's say you're buying a laptop or you have a laptop. You have a laptop which is costing you 50,000. Okay. So whenever you have a laptop, so you need to pay so much amount to get a laptop. In other scenario, you already have a laptop, but you need to do a service to that laptop. So you may take this laptop to the service center. Okay. So you need to pay just the service charges, or you also need to pay for the spare parts. If while doing service, if there is any spare parts required, you are going to pay for the services as well as the spare parts. Okay. So let me take a good example better than this. Okay. Let me take this way. You went to buy a suit, so you go to Raymond's. Okay, so you buy a suit. So when you buy a suit, it will cost you around 20,000. Okay, a complete finished product. So what happens? Raymond's will become your vendor, and you are the customer. You are going there and you are buying a suit directly, which is ready to fit. In same case, you will go to the Raymond's vendor and you will not buy the suit. You will just buy the cloth as a material. That is the raw material. Okay, you take this cloth and go to the tailor and ask him to stitch. Okay, you're just taking the cloth and asking tailor to stitch this, and he's going to stitch it. So here in this case, he will be your raw material vendor, and he will become your subcontractor vendor. So you're buying raw material from someone, and you're taking the raw material and you're giving it to the subcontracting vendor, and you're asking him to stitch a suit. So here, when you buy a raw material, it'll cost you only 10,000. You're taking this and giving it to the subcontracting vendor, and now subcontracting vendor will charge only for his labor charge. He is only going to charge for the stitching charges, and if he's adding any other raw materials, so he will add any other raw materials. So assume that he is going to charge 5,000 as a labor charge. So what happens? This is the work what subcontracting vendor is doing, and he's going to charge only for this. And when you're giving this cloth to the subcontracting vendor, he is going to consume it. He is going to consume it. So when he is going to consume it, the raw material in our store should get reduced and the finished material should get increased. Okay. Same in case of subcontracting process also. The company or the business provides the raw material to the subcontracting vendor, and the subcontracting vendor converts those raw material into a finished product. Okay. And we will not pay for the finished material. We will pay the subcontracting vendor only for the labor charge, what he is going to charge. Or we can call them as the processing charge also. So this is the definition of the subcontracting process. Okay. So if we are going to see in the system perspective, so as I mentioned, we are going to have this PR, PO. PO is sent to vendor. You receive the order confirmation. As soon as you receive the goods, you're going to do the GR. Invoice is getting posted and the payment is done. Okay. If we sketch the same process for subcontracting vendor, what is happening is, let me sketch that in another page. So let me write down both here. So you will raise a PR, that is getting converted to PO, sent to vendor. You receive the order confirmation. You receive the goods, invoice is posted, and the payment is done. This is normal procurement. Okay. And if I sketch for subcontracting, what happens? You here you also create a PR. You convert that to PO. Okay. And when you convert that PO here, you're sending the PO to vendor. With sending the PO to vendor, you are also going to send the raw material. Okay. You receive the order confirmation and you receive the goods. You post the IR, you do the payment. When you do the goods receipt, you're going to do two things here. You're going to consume the raw material and you're going to receive the finished material. Okay, when I say you are going to send the raw material to vendor, you are just sending it physically, but this material will still show in your system. Okay, now we will understand two things. So yesterday we discussed regarding subcontract. So yesterday we discussed regarding STO. We said that who is sending the material is called as a vendor. Who is receiving the material is a customer, right? Now in this flow, here we are sending the PO to vendor. When we are sending PO to vendor, now I need answers from you guys. So this means here I am going to send the PO to vendor. When I'm going to send the PO to vendor, who am I? When I'm sending PO to vendor, who am I? Am I customer or vendor?
Customer.
Okay. So when I'm sending PO to vendor, I am customer. Okay. Now, when I'm sending raw material to vendor, who am I?
Vendor.
So here I am vendor. And again here, the supplier is sending me the goods in the GR. So here
Customer.
I am customer. So when I'm sending the raw material, I am the vendor. When I'm receiving the material, I am customer. So I am going to act both as customer and vendor. So in this subcontracting process, from side, we are the customer. Okay. And when we are sending the raw material, we are the vendor. So this part, whenever we are sending, this part is taken care by the SD consultants. Whenever we are sending the PO to vendor, this part is taken care of MM. This part is taken care of MM. Just when you are sending a raw material to vendor, this part is taken care of the sales and distribution. Because whenever I'm sending a raw material, that is outward. Outward is handled by the sales and distribution people. Inward is handled by MM consultants. Okay. So we as a plant sell something to the customer. So in this case, we are acting as a vendor because we are selling something to other producers. So we are selling something to the vendor. So as per MM point of view, we are customer. And from when you are buying something from the vendor, in the SD point of view, we are vendors. And when we are selling something, we become customer. So this is very, very important to understand when you are acting as vendor and when you are acting as customer. Okay. And as I designed here, first thing, we create a purchase order for the product which we are going to receive. That is a finished material. Okay. So you're going to create a PO for finished material. Okay. Second, you're going to transfer the raw material. When I say transfer, a transfer posting is been done. So for raw material, I will do a transfer posting. Okay. This is for raw material. Third is you're going to do the goods receipt. Goods receipt is done for two things. One is for raw material, one is for finished material. Okay. Then you have the invoice receipt. So this is the process followed by businesses of contracting. Let me pause here. If you have any questions, let me take those and then move forward.
Uh, in terms of designing the backend part, what exactly will be the consultant responsibilities in subcontracting?
In subcontracting, there is nothing in the backend configuration. Everything is dealt with the master data. So all the things is carried out in the master data, nothing in the configuration.
Oh,
And there is no configuration for subcontracting.
okay.
Any more questions?
I think you can move forward, Venkatesh.
Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the business process which everyone are following, but there is one change. Now in India, the process has been changed. That is only in India. Why I'm speaking about India is in India, we have a new concept called GST. So, for example, let me complete the process and tell you what is the change. So I just explained you, we are going to create the purchase order and we are going to send the raw material to purchase order. How are we going to send the raw material to purchase order? And how system is able to identify how much quantity of raw material need to be sent to the supplier. So for example, I'm sending a raw material of 10 quantity to supplier. I'm sending 10 pieces or 10 quantity of material to the subcontracting vendor. This raw material, subcontracting vendor. And he will process this raw material and he will convert this raw material into another product. Let's call it as finished product or let's call it as semi-finished product. And he is going to use this 10 pieces and he's going to do a machine work or he's going to manage this and then he's going to convert this into one quantity of finished product or a semi-finished product. Okay. In some cases, we need only one quantity of raw material. In other cases, for example, this is one case. In other cases, you need just one piece of raw material to convert it to one piece of finished product. So how is system able to understand? In this case, there is a relationship between raw material and the semi-finished material or finished material. How system is able to understand if I want one finished product or 10 finished product, how much raw material do I need? So the relationship between this raw material and finished material is called as the bill of material. Normally, this bill of material comes under the production planning. So this is the first step we will do before we start the subcontracting process. In bill of material, we'll be defining that which raw material is used to convert to get the semi-finished material or finished material. So we will be able to create this bill of material for semi-finished product saying that you need to have this raw material or we need to have this component to get this finished product from vendor. Okay, now system is going to have a master data. This is a production planning master data. If there is no production planning, this is handled by consultant. So we need to tell system that to have this finished product, how much raw material we need. We need to store this information somewhere in system so that system can analyze whenever I'm creating a purchase order for a finished material, system should suggest this is the raw material quantity you need to send to vendor so that vendor can process this and give you the finished material. So this concept is called as the bill of material. So now your complete process gets changed. Before you start creating the purchase order, you need to start creating the bill of material. So your first step is to create bill of material. So this bill of material is created for your finished product. You will put a finished product and you will tell that to manufacture this finished product, I want raw material 1, raw material 2. Okay, after you finish this, your second step will be you need to say system that for this finished product, there is a BOM available. So how are we going to tell that? In MRP view, in MRP4 view, you have an option called production version. This is also done by a PP consultant, but if we know no PP consultant, then it should be done by us. So it is called as production version. You need to create the production version saying that for this finished material, we have this bill of material. This is a mandatory step in the S4HANA. Only then you will be able to create the purchase order. When you create a purchase order, system will be able to understand there is a bill of material available. But in purchase order also, as I said, we have standard purchase order, we have subcontracting purchase order, we have STO purchase order. So that is going to differentiate based on the item category. In item category, if you mention L, then, sorry, if your item category is L, then system will understand this is a subcontracting purchase order and it will go in the backend and search for your bill of material. If it find any bill of material from MRP4 view, then it will directly update in your purchase order. If you're not created the bill of material, if you're not assigned this to production version, then system will not be able to identify the bill of material from the backend, but you still have an option to enter it manually. You can create a purchase order with item category L. Even if you have created the bill of material, the bill of material will get updated automatically. If you're not created the bill of material, then you might also enter the bill of material manually there. Then the fourth step is, one second. Okay. And the fourth step is, after you create a purchase order and your bill of material is getting fetched in your purchase order or subcontracting PO, then you'll be able to see a trigger in one of the transactions saying that now you need to start transferring the raw material to the vendor. So the fourth step is transfer raw material to vendor. Now, why this fourth step is important? This fourth step is important to understand that against what movement type are we going to send the raw material to vendor? The movement type is 541. This is very, very important. This can be also inter equation. So in special procurement, what are the important things? In special procurement, the important things are the movement types. What are the movement types? What are the accounting entries? So yesterday I would have forgot to mention for stock transfer order, the movement type is 641. 641 is a movement type for intra STO. When the plant are in same company code, then the movement type is 641. I'll mention here STO. For inter, it is 643. For intra, it is 641. This is plant in same company code. Plant in different company code. Keep this remember. Okay. Then coming back to the subcontracting topic, here we are going to transfer the raw material to vendor with the movement type 641. The material will be transferred to subcontracting vendor only from the unrestricted stock. Okay, and I'm sending the raw material to vendor physically, but in system it will be still showing that that is sent to vendor for our track. Okay, now after you transfer the goods to vendor, now you want to physically transfer the goods to vendor. In India, we have the concept of GST now. So you cannot send the material directly to the vendor without any document. So you need some document to send the material to vendor. So what is a document? The document is create the challan or invoice. So if one material is going from one place to another place, if any RTO person catches your material, there might be a question raised, why are we transporting this material from place to place? So for this, you need to have a document. So this is the additional step in S4 HANA, only for India, when GST came into picture. Now let's see the difference. What is the difference between challan and invoice? Why I say we need challan or invoice. We are going to create a challan. For example, let's say that you are in Bangalore and you're going to transfer the material within Bangalore. You are also in Bangalore, the user is in Bangalore, and the subcontracting vendor is also in Bangalore. Then it is within a state. Then the challan is sufficient. Challan is sufficient, saying that the material is just transferred from place to place. So you can just create a challan and send the material with the printout of this challan. And now second example, you are in Bangalore. The user is in Bangalore and vendor is in Mumbai. So you're crossing the state. The GST number is getting changed. So if you are in Bangalore, the GST number starts 29. Here it is 29. I don't know what is it is. It will take 30. So the GST is getting changed. So it is an interstate. You are transferring the material interstate. In this case, the challan will not work. Challan only works when you are in a single state, when you are transferring the material in a single state. So when this challan is not used in another state, so you need to create an invoice. Right? Once this challan or invoice is created, you need to take a printout of that and give it to the subcontracting vendor or the transporter. Then once the material is processed, the raw material will reach vendor place. He'll start manufacturing it. And once it is processed from his end, he will send the goods to us and we are going to do the goods receipt. Okay. As I mentioned, we'll be doing a goods receipt for two materials. One is the component or the raw material and the finished material. Okay. This raw material is getting consumed. When I say consumed, it is getting minus. So for this, the movement type is 543. To send the material to vendor, we are using movement type 541. And when we are receiving the material, to consume it. Because once you get a finished product, you are no more having this raw material. So you have to start consuming it. You need to reduce the stock in system. So if you're directly consuming it using any other movement type, the finance might raise a question. So here we are going to tell system that I am consuming this raw material to get this finished material. To consume, I am going to use 543 movement type, and to receive the finished material, I am going to use 101. Normal 101, you all know. So here in this challan, for example, I am sending 100 pieces of raw material to get 10 pieces of finished material. When I do goods receipt here 100 pieces are getting subtracted. 10 pieces are getting added. Okay. Okay, as per our system, as per SAP system, everything is fine. But you still have this challan open in our system. So how can we reduce the quantity in the challan? So to reduce the quantity in challan, you need to reconcile the challan. Okay, before GST got implemented in system, subcontracting was under only people. We did not have any challan concept or invoice concept. Post GST got implemented, it got integrated with people and SD people. Consultant and SD consultant are working together. So I can tell that these modules are integrated, and majorly, as there is no configuration done from side or sales side, it is only with the master data, playing with the master data. But the SD has some configuration regarding this invoice or challan. They will do it. So if I speak about the flow, guy creates a subcontracting PO, and the PO will be sent to vendor. Here you are acting as a customer and you are buying or paying for the material to vendor. Okay, first part. Second part, to send the material to vendor, SD guy will create an invoice or challan. Here SD guy or a person who is a user will become a vendor, and who is going to receive the material, he is called as customer. This is very, very important. Let me repeat it. guy is going to create a subcontracting PO. The PO is sent to vendor. In this case, you are the customer because you are buying the material from him. When you are sending a raw material, and I say we are not going to send it, the SD people are going to send it. In that case, we are going to send the material via invoice or challan. In this case, the SD people will become the vendor. And the who is going to receive the raw material, he is going to act as customer. Okay, so this is the complete process, what is happening in the subcontracting. Any questions before I move into system? Any questions? Okay, if no questions, now we'll see the front end part of subcontracting process. So we'll try to create a subcontracting view. So let me take some materials which are already created, or if you want me to create, I can create a new material also. Let me take a reference of the material if I have anything. So for this, I'm going to check for my plant. We'll take this as a reference and create a new material. This is a raw material, ROH. So basic data. And remember, for raw material, you need to have the specific views. You need to have this basic data. You also need to have the sales data because you are sending this raw material to the supplier. And you should have this international trade because we need to have the HSN code. Okay. And you can have the general plant and accounting. Here, what is important is you should and must have the sales view and the international trade export. Okay. So 01, 1994 and 01. FL01, 01. Okay. So I'm giving this as B15 raw material 1. So I'm going with the same data here. In the sales view, as I mentioned, you can have the division 00 and tax exempted, you can put tax exempt 00. Here, maintain the normal material, save and yesterday's material. And here you maintain the availability check 01 and the transportation group and the loading group. Okay. And here in the international trade export, here you have the control code. This control code is called as HSN code. Sorry. This is called as a HSN code. So if I go to Indian, so these many are the HSN codes which are created. These HSN codes will be created by finance. So you don't want to check this. So select any one HSN code from here. In normal business cases, this HSN code will come from the finance people. Okay. In plant storage, I don't want anything here. In the accounting view, select the valuation class, the pricing. Okay. And I'm going to save this. Before I save this, I'll take this material and note it down. So this is the first raw material 1. I'm going to save this. In the same way, I will create the raw material 2 also. Same basic data. Sales data is must. Import. Purchasing. General plant and accounting. Out level. So this plant. This plant. Okay. And B15 raw material 2. Enter, enter. I'm checking everything. Division is 00. When you're copying the material, check for all the information if it is reflecting properly or not. For some, it will not reflect. Okay, I have the control code here. Purchasing, plant, accounting, and the price is there. Let me change the price to 20 and save. Before save, I'll take the material. Okay. For the first material, I don't think so. I maintained the purchasing view. So let me extend that to purchasing view. So if you have missed any view, and if you want to extend the material to purchasing or any view, you can come to this transaction MM50 and select which view you want to maintain, the purchasing, and put the material. Click on execute. So material will come. Select two materials, maintain. Okay, for this, the material ledger is not activated. Let me check the materials. If the material is not activated, then we cannot do anything. So let me check this. MM03. And for this, I'll go to the accounting view directly. Okay, it is activated. Then for the other material also, it will be activated. Okay. Now I'll create the finished product or finished product.
Sir, if it is activated also, but still it is showing some error. No? Why it is?
No, it was showing for without plant. When I go to MM50, if I put this and go to the material, okay, I cannot use this anymore because it is already extended. Because here you had two lines, one line without plant and one line with plant. For the first line, it was an error. For second line, it was not an error. It showed green. So for without plant, it was showing an error of material ledger. With plant, it was not showing an error. Okay. So now let me create the finished product. Let me take the reference of finished product also. If I find anything here. Okay, I have something here, finished product. Let me take this and create. For finished product, I'll change the material type as a PRT. I'm using completely standard. Okay. For finished product, you don't want to have the sales view, that is not mandatory, but you should have this MRP view as mandatory. Remember this, for raw material, you should have the sales view as mandatory. For finished product, you need to have the MRP view mandatory. These all are the things which you need to mention to business. Okay. So general plant and the accounting. Okay. So this is V15 finished material. So the only change what you'll see is the MRP view. For MRP view, maintain no planning. ND is no planning. I'll explain this MRP views and MRP planning. When we discuss regarding MRP, we have a different session planned on it. The only thing what you need to remember here is the production version. You should not activate the production version now. After you create a bill of material, only then you need to activate the production version. As of now, just extend it to the MRP view and check if the material ledger is activated and put the price as this is standard price. So I'll put 100. Okay, before this, I'm going to take this material number. This is finished product. Okay. I'm going to save it. Okay. We created the raw material. We created some finished material. Now let's create the bill of material. The transaction to create the bill of material is CS01. CS01. Normally, this will be created by the production planning team. If you don't have the production planning team, then you guys need to create it as I mentioned. So I'm putting CS01. Here you need to enter your finished product, not the raw material. You should enter your finished product. Okay. put your plant, put your BOM usage. BOM usage should be universal. Okay, when I say universal, it is applicable for all the things. It is applicable for all the things. If I put 1, it is applicable only for production. If I put 2, it is applicable only for design. If I put universal, it is applicable for all the things like production, design, plant maintenance, spares, for everything. So I'll put 3 and put the value from date to the past. Because when you're creating a bill of material will take 24 hours or 48 hours to activate this bill of material. So if I'm creating for the past date, system will assume that I'm creating on 10th of July and it will activate immediately. Okay, click enter. Now here, put L. L is a stock item. So you're telling system that I need to issue the material which is in stock and put the component. So component is your raw material. So I'll take this component, put it over here. Okay, and the second one also. So now tell system that to manufacture one finished product, how much raw material do you need? I will tell 10, 15. Okay, to manufacture one raw material, one finished material, I need 10 pieces of this material and 15 pieces of this material. Okay, here it is, 10 pieces, 15 pieces. Okay, now if you are giving this 10 pieces and 15 pieces, how many finished product you should give? So that you need to click on this header. Here you will say base quantity. To manufacture one piece, you need these many. Okay, if you're giving 10, 15, and if you're getting 2 pieces of finished material, then go to header and change it to 2 pieces. Okay, I'm going to save this. As soon as you save this, now after you create a bill of material, now you need to go and maintain the production version. Okay, now I'll go to MM02. Sorry, I should have gone to MM02. Now open the finished material. Go to the MRP4 view directly. Okay, here you will see the finished product, the production version. Click on this and now create the production version. So this is for B15. Production version and give the valid date same as your bill of material. And end date can be anything. Okay, as soon as you click on production version, this will get enabled. Click on production version again. Click on details. So now here you need to enter the bill of material details. So if you go to alternate BOM and click on F4, you will see only one line coming there. If this line is coming, then you have created the bill of material. If this line is not coming, then there is no bill of material. So select this, click on continue, and save it. Okay, so this is the material master point of things what you need to remember when you are going to explain this to business. Any question?
Venkatesh, yeah. What if there is no bill of material? Then we need to again repeat the same procedure.
Yes, you need to go to CS01 and create the bill of material.
Okay, and where does this movement type 541 comes into picture, Venkatesh?
When you're giving the when you're giving the raw material to vendor, this is after the purchase order creation, after PO creation.
Okay.
Any more questions? Now we are just in material. We also need to see how we are going to map the vendor and customer. and then only we will be able to create the purchase order.
And business will be creating both finished and raw material at the initial stage itself.
Yes. First, the raw material and finished material gets created. After that, the bill of material gets created, and then the business partner will get created with vendor and customer. Okay, if no questions, then I'll go to business partner. I'll open a customer which we have. Let me see if this customer number is there. So this is one of the business partner. This business partner is extended only for vendor, not for customer. It is better to search with the vendor number. So that is the reason if you see, when I search with the same number for business partner, it is different. If I search with customer number, there is nothing. If I search with vendor number, there is nothing. So this is the reason system is going to suggest to keep the vendor and the business partner number and the customer number in a sync. Okay. So supplier number 32954. Okay. I have this vendor. So if you see, this vendor is extended for vendor, general data, and vendor general data, vendor purchase order data. And the same business partner is also converted to customer. So create a business partner and extend the business partner to both customer and vendor. After you convert this, in the customer FLCU 00 in sales and distribution, let me put the same. So yesterday we created the customer. You can use the same concept how to create it. So here you will have an option called a return supplier somewhere. That needs to be enabled. Let me see where is return supplier enabled. Should be in vendor, purchasing. Scroll down. Yeah, it is here. This needs to be enabled. So let me enable it. Here in the return supplier, click on this after creating. So this business partner and this customer will get mapped to each other. When you map this only, then the subcontracting purchase order will work. So what I suggest, create the business partner, extend the business partner to vendor, extend the same business partner to customer, and then come to this FLVN01, find this return supplier and enable this and save. Only then your subcontracting scenario will work.
Venkatesh, how did you enable it? Can you repeat that procedure, please?
So you can go to the FLVN01, which is the purchase organization view. Go to the purchasing. In the purchasing data, you will find this return supplier here. Now let me deactivate it again. Now let me reactivate. Here you will have the return supplier option. Enable this. This pop-up will come. Click on OK. Then you will see customers successfully mapped.
No, when you were searching, it was not activated. So you clicked one button in the ribbon, and then then it was open.
No, I was in display mode. I was in display mode.
Okay.
So if I show, I went to display mode. In display mode, you will see everything is grayed out. When you go to change mode, only then you will be able to edit this.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be using this vendor. So let me make a note of the vendor. So this is a vendor. So we created the material master. We created two raw materials. We created one finished material. And we created the bill of material. And we also created the vendor. And extended the same one to the customer and mapped those. Now I'll go to the transaction to create a PO, which is ME21N. I'll put the supplier number, which is 32954, if I'm not wrong. 32954, okay. Purchase org, purchase group. Enter the finished material here because you are purchasing the finished material from supplier. To which plant? How many quantity? I'm going to buy 100 quantity, for example. Okay, net price. And one more thing. It is better to create the purchase info record for subcontracting. So let me do that part also. So to create the purchase info record, we go to ME11, the finished product, the supplier, everything is coming. Here you have the item category called subcontracting. Select this. Only then it will create a subcontracting PIR. So I'm telling 10 days is the lead time. This is the purchase group. Sorry. I'm entering the price. The labor price is 20 rupees. Okay. Here, if you need, you can enter the tax code. If you need any confirmation control key or GR invoice verification, anything can be entered. This is already explained. So I'll enter and save it. Now I'll create the PO. So this is my supplier, purchase org, purchase group, the finished material. Okay, the plant is this, quantity 100. Price what I entered there is 20. So I'll enter the 20 here also. Okay, this is a normal procurement because I don't see any difference. Now, to convert this to subcontracting, in the item category, just enter L. Before I click enter, I need to show one thing. In the material data, I don't have any additional fields here. Okay, if I enter L and click on enter, this will get converted to the subcontracting PO. And now you have this additional two tabs coming in. This additional two tabs will tell what is your component. So now if you see, I said in BOM that if I want one piece of finished material, I need this 10 pieces. I need this 15 pieces. Now I am placing a purchase order or subcontracting PO for 100 pieces. This quantity will get multiplied by this 100. Okay. Now if I decide that I want to buy only 50 pieces, your BOM gets changed. Now it is 500 because 50 into 10 is 500. Okay. So I'll go back. Let me make it 100. It will change. It will keep on multiplying based on the quantity you have. You don't want to do it manually. This is done automatically. Okay. In the meanwhile, let me do one thing. Let me increase the stock of these two materials also. So goods receipt, I'm going to increase this with 561. Okay. Other material. Let me increase both one. I'll increase with the quantity of 2000. Where in this plant? Because if I don't have stock, I'll not be able to issue the goods. Item okay. Item 2. Quantity I'll increase this also 2000. This plant item is okay. Check. I have an error of OBYC. I'll add OBYC transaction. It's for GBP, CBFG. Okay. So the error is XYZ BSA, XYZ BSA, valuation class is BC1. For sure, it'll ask for the BSX also. If I show that, check, post, BSX. So let me add the BSX also. That is for XYZ BC1. Enter. Okay, the stock got increased. Now, this is the stock which I need to provide to the vendor. So I'll not be providing it now. I will be just creating the purchase order. So I'll go back. I'll click on explode form. I'll just refresh it. Go back. Let's save this. So this is how we are going to create the subcontracting PO. So this is my PO. Okay, this is a PO, and I'm going to procure 100 pieces with this components. Okay, now how are we going to issue the goods to the vendor? To issue the goods, as I mentioned, we need to do the transfer posting. So before that, let me show the stock in system. So this, you have 2000. Okay, and parallelly, if I open the other one, this also have 2000. I just added it now. Now to process or to issue the goods or do the transfer posting of the goods, I will go to the transaction, which is ME2ON. So make a note of this transaction. To issue the goods to the vendor, we'll be using this transaction ME2ON. Okay, clicking enter. So here system will ask to which supplier you want to give the goods. What are the components? So I'll say this is 1 and this is 1. If you don't know, just give the supplier name. It'll show you. Execute it. So system will tell you need to provide 1000 pieces of this material, 1500 pieces of this material. So expand this. It will show the purchase order for you. 1738 is your purchase order. So select this line. Select this line also. And click on this post goods issue. I want to issue the goods. Click on this. System will give you this screen. Now you can see the movement type coming 541. Now when I'm issuing the goods to the supplier, I'm issuing the goods with the movement type of 541. 541 is nothing but this raw material is going to vendor for the conversion. 541 is nothing but conversion. You want to see, you can see it here. 541 is goods issue for the subcontracting stock. Okay. So I'll tell in which location, SL01, SL01. If you want to give partial, why it is still red. there is some issue. Normally, you should convert to green. Okay, the document got posted, and this is the document number. So make a note of this document. Okay, the PO number what we created is this. PO number is this, and this is the goods issue document number. Okay, so when you're doing a demo or when you're practicing, and even when you're giving a demo to the business, this everything should be noted. Okay, we cannot keep on searching what transaction we need to run, where is the data. Once you miss the data, you'll not get it again. You need to keep on searching. It will take at least for 20 minutes or 15 minutes for you. Okay. Now using this transaction, we have transferred or we have we have transferred the raw material to the supplier in the system. You also have to send it physically. So sending physically is not our job. It is done by the SD consultants. So SD consultant will send the material physically using the challan or invoice. Okay. Now, if we see in the system perspective, this material, you should have sent 1500. So let me go to PO and open these components. The material ending with 20, you need to send 1500. You sent it. If I just refresh, nothing happened. Then the 20 got failed. Then 20 did not got passed because it is showing as red. Then it is not sent. Let me check the other material. This is 19. If I refresh, okay. Here 1000 is with our stock, 1000 is with vendor stock. Okay, now let me check why it is not sent. What is the issue here? Post goods issue, the location, SL01. Okay, once you will be able to post only one line, that is the issue. So now what I'll do, I will post this again. So I'll select this, create a document. This is the other document. Copy. Okay. This is for raw material 1. This is for raw material 2. Okay. So 2 materials have been sent. If I go and refresh this also, you will be able to see 1500 with vendor and 500 with us. Okay, now we need to send this physically. So to send this physically, we need to create the challan. So this challan is taken care by sales and distribution, but we need to have some idea on the challan. First, let us discuss something regarding this challan, and then we can come and create it. So let me reshare my screen. So I already mentioned why are we going to create the challan, and let us discuss what contains in challan, what data we have in challan. And we also need to discuss some transaction codes which created newly by SAP only for India. This transaction codes will not be available in any other country's SAP system. If you're purchasing Indian system only, then you will be able to see these transaction codes. So in this challan, you will have who is the customer, who is the vendor, and what material are you going to send, what quantity, from which plant are you going to send, on what date you're going to send, and what is the price. These are the information we will have. These are the basic fields which are required to create a challan. Now we have already transferred the material to the vendor stock using the ME2ON transaction. When you go to MMBE, You're able to see the stock is in vendor. Stock is in vendor. But still the stock is lying in our warehouse. We just transferred the stock from our stock, which is unrestricted, to the vendor stock with the movement type of 541. And we need to hand over the document. When I say document, that is these two documents. We need to hand over these two document number to the SD people. So SD people can go ahead and create the challan or the invoice. So the main thing is, how are we going to manage the transactions? So first thing, create challan. To create challan, we are going to use the transaction J1IG SUBCON. This is a transaction which was created by SAP only for Indian systems. Okay. And if you want to see the reports of challan, how many challans are created, then it is simple. Write everything same. J1IG SUB. Then you have REP. Use for report. Okay. Then we said, when we do the goods receipt, just give me a second. Sorry. And I also mentioned that when we are receiving the goods, when I say goods, it is finished material. When I'm receiving a finished material from vendor, I said that we need to consume the raw material. Once we consume the raw material, the challan will be still open. We need to reduce the raw materials quantity in the challan also. To reduce the quantity in the challan, we call it as reconcile the challan. So it is challan reconcile. Before I go to reconcile the challan, let me do one thing. Let me create the challan. So let me go to SAP. I'll go to SAP. Now we have these two documents. I will go to J1IGSUBCON. So this screen gets open. Put the company code, put the plant. If you remember the subcontracting vendor, put subcontracting vendor. We know who is a vendor. So I'll take the vendor from the PO and put it over there. And material document number. So I'll take this number 47 and 48. Click on create challan, execute, select the two lines and click on create challan. Oh my God, the program got the function module is not active or does not contain any code. Solution of the current program has a terminated because of an error. Exception call is this. The exception report. And that is another exception. Function empty. Okay, in program, the function statement in program is the name of the function module. Found in the function group. Function module has not been activated. This is a technical error. We need to activate the function module. Let me activate it from my end if I can. If not, we need to reach out to ABAP to get this activated. Let's go. Vertical display. Yes. Channel. All space. Yes. Object of box A. H. Yeah. With object generated. Generate. All button. Now for this I need to reach out to ABAP. Function module is not activated. Program is this and form is this. Function. This is calling this function. If system variable is 0. Yes, yes, Standard function. MD convert material unit. Why this function was getting called? When the matna EINS routing 7. Yeah. I'll try with one more section. If that does not come, then I need to contact the developer like this time. It is calling this function. Normally, this should not call this function. The flag not changed. Continue. No, I need to check this with the developer because I'm not able to run this program also. I have to check with him. So I think I cannot continue with the challan part here, but normally this challan part will be done by the developer. Sorry, not the SD people. So SD people will create this challan and send this to the vendor. And what I cannot show now is I'll not be able to show how to create the challan and how can we receive the goods and minus the challan. So I think I need to check this with developer and come back. So till now, what we have discussed is we have discussed how are we going to create the subcontracting PO and how to get the BOM into picture. Now we need to move ahead and check how can we create the challan and receive the finished material. Okay. Any questions here? Any questions?
So in next class, we will continue this topic, Venkatesh.
Yes. Or give me a second, let me check if I can do this via the material master. If I change the material master and if I can work around this, then we'll try to complete here itself. There is a debugger on, so I need to exit, cancel the debugger. So /o/n mem02. So this issue, this function module is coming based on this raw material. So the basic data, unit of measure. Let me change this to pieces if possible. Because the issue is with the unit of measure. Clearly, system says that this is an issue with the unit of measure. What is the error? Okay. For this material, there is already stock available. Let me do one thing. But why this is happening? Sure. Let me try with this. For sure, the issue is with material unit of measure. Because in the exception, I see unit of measure is not adopted. It is still giving the same issue, material unit. The conversion is not found by the function one is not. The class exception is not caught in procedure. And it's not showing what unit of measure also it is picking. What is taken from this? Just 7. This line exporting this matter out to me. I of me is the variable. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me check this and come back. Okay, till now, any questions? Okay, any questions? Let me check this and come back. Okay, if no questions, then we'll wrap up here. We need to debug this issue and find from where this unit of measure is getting picked and why the challan is not getting created. For sure, it is an issue with the unit of measure. So let me check this and come back. Okay, if no questions, then we meet evening to discuss regarding the level 2 topic. If this issue gets resolved by evening, I will finish this part and then take the level 2 part there. Okay,
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.